Okay, I think I've got the all clear to go. Can I just get, yes, I've just got from governance all good to go. So I'm assuming that everyone that was in the waiting room is now here. So welcome everyone to tonight's meeting to hear submissions on the reinstatement of partial road closure of Sherbourne Street, Essendon. On behalf of Moonee Valley City Council, I respectfully acknowledge the land on which Moonee Valley is located, that of the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who are here with us in this meeting tonight. Now, this is an informal meeting to hear submissions from the community on the reinstatement of partial road closure of Sherbourne Street, Essendon, but we just so everyone's clear, we won't be making any decisions tonight. A total of 29 submissions were received, including 5 which were received after the minimum 28-day consultation period. 3 have requested to be heard in support of their submission. However, 1 speaker can no longer attend. Therefore, we have 2. Now, councillors, whilst I haven't received any apologies for tonight's meeting, I'm very mindful that Councillor Sharp may be an apology. She is potentially going to hop on. If she does get on, that is fantastic. But she, for the residents, she's just having, there's just a few minor little glitches that we're working through. But we do have myself, who's the mayor, and we've got the Moonee ward councillors, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Bedio, Councillor Katrina Hodson, Councillor Rose Isa, and the Buckley Ward councillors, Councillor Ava Adams and Councillor Cam Nation. And hopefully, as I said before, Councillor Elsharp may be joining us. Councillors, I'll ask if there's any conflicts to be declared this evening. Nope. Therefore, we'll move forward to the submissions, where we actually hear from the submitters. So we've had 2 community members have confirmed to speak this evening. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak to their submission, and after I'll ask councillors if they would like to seek clarification on any points. This meeting is conducted by video conference and the speakers are joining us via Zoom. I'm sure we're all used to Zoom by now, so welcome to you all. I will invite each presenter in the order that they appeared on the business papers. So I've got Jeffrey Hutton and David Ryan. Was there anybody else here in the meeting room tonight that was expecting to, that is a submitter and was expecting to speak, that is not Jeffrey Hutton or David Ryan? If you could let me know.
Ross Olsen, yes, I was hoping.
Ross Olsen. Ross, were you a submitter?
Yes, I was.
Okay, thank you. Governance, can you just align that with the submissions and just pop it through to the chat so we know which submission it is, please? And Ross, you can, I'll call you to speak after David Ryan, if that's okay. Was there anybody else who is in the meeting tonight that was a submitter and was expecting to be speaking? No, I'll take that silence as it's time to move on, which is great. So we will hear from Jeffrey Hutton, David Ryan and Ross Olsen. Just a reminder, we've got 3 minutes and then potentially some questions from councillors at the end. So I would like to ask Jeffrey Hutton, if you're here. If you
I
could
am here, but I'm wondering why there's no video of people on the screen. Is this some fault in my system, or is everybody's having the same thing? I can see all the has asked me to start the video. Okay, I've done that several times. There we go. Thank you.
Yep, I can see you. Beautiful.
Okay,
Great
that's
job.
fine. Thank you.
And it is being it is being recorded as well. So
that's fine. That is fine.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Look, you have my submission, and I was one that was unable to get it in on time. Simply, I had a detached retina and an operation around the new year, which caused quite significant issues. But getting on with what I have said, and I trust you've got copies of what I did say. I was a former member of the Buckley Street Level Crossing Removal Authority Stakeholders Committee, which actually introduced this idea of a right-hand turn. And I was also a member of the Essendon Junction Structure Planning Reference Committee. I have worked in both land use and transport planning as my professional job. I've been retired for about 8 years. I worked for the state government in a director position, and one of my main roles was the integration of transport and land use. And I suppose that starts me right from the start. You can read through all that, but I'm stunned that after a group of residents, school representatives, Rose Street traders, and the wider community were heavily involved in the Buckley Street level crossing, came up with the idea of turning right as an improvement to the traffic flow and options for all the people who are north of the Buckley Street tunnel, that this has even been brought up. And what I can't understand is that why it's being brought up within 3 years or even less of making that decision. I see it as an ad hoc approach, and I can't see any value in it. It would read, other than cutting off the people trying to move in a southerly direction towards the schools. And mind you, the Lowther Hall School has a major access point also in Sherbourne Avenue. So what you do is, if you cut the right-hand turn, you in effect cause people to go down my street, Leslie Road, which is the only school crossing for St Columba's, which I live opposite, would make it terribly much more busier. And also those cars could easily then turn left into Stanley Street and back into Sherbourne. My reaction to that is I consider this very ad hoc and short-sighted. I have no understanding of why you're actually proposing it now. I don't know where it's coming from. If in fact you think that there's some value in moving traffic and just chopping that little movement off, which I can't understand, which also affects people turning right and moving into the commuter car park at the Essendon railway station, I can't see any logic in helping school kids in that area by making it the one way only. In fact, I would like council or officers to actually nominate why this is even coming up. I know the schools are dead against it. I've had discussions with the business managers of both because I'm part of the community. I'm stunned with what the logic is. I'd love council to tell me, why are you doing this now? What advantage would be seen as giving? If you think it's an advantage in channeling all the traffic into Leslie Road and the front of Lowther, that's contradictory to what the business plan is for the Lowther Hall, or strategy plan for the Lowther Hall long-term development of that site. And I can't understand why you would channel this traffic straight into Leslie Road. You're only talking about two houses in Sherbourne, and I can't see I can't see why you're not doing a true holistic approach to the overall picture.
Jeffrey, I'm mindful of the time and we are giving people 3 minutes. If you just want to close with 15 or so seconds, that's fine.
Well, I don't see any point. I'd like some of the councillors or some of the engineers to come up with why I'm here. I don't understand why this has cropped up at all again so soon. You had a representative on that Buckley Street underpass thing, Colin Harris, who's not attending tonight. I have never seen any of your engineers involved in this area talking about this. I think the council, I can't understand why this is on, and I'd rather me making submissions. I'd like to hear from the councillors why you're actually proposing this.
So obviously we're going through a process, and there has been that you are now a part of as a submitter. Today isn't a time for councillors to be speaking on that. We are taking on board what people have said and everything that's in our pack. Obviously happy to talk more and follow up questions, but I will ask councillors if you had any clarifying points or anything that you would like clarified from Jeffrey before we move to our next speaker. Councillor Isa.
Yes, Councillor Isa.
Jeffrey, thank you. And I do apologise, I was just in transit there, so I hope I didn't miss anything you said at the beginning. You just referred to cutting off a right-hand turn. Can I just clarify exactly what you're referring to when you say cutting off a right-hand turn? If you could just limit your comments to just what you're referring to.
My opposition is the current situation. It wasn't like this many years ago, but the current situation allows a car to turn right into Sherbourne Avenue, or also do a U-turn into Buckley and then turn left into Leslie. What the council is proposing, or the officers, I don't know who's proposing it, frankly, you're now going to stop cars going into Sherbourne, and you're going to force them to go down Buckley, which is only a small, short block, turn left into Leslie Road, into the only road that has the school crossing for St. Columba's. And if cars want to go back into Sherbourne, at the end of Leslie Road, or the S situation, they'll turn left again, go up Stanley and turn right into Sherbourne.
Thanks, you've answered my question. Thank you. I just wasn't sure which right-hand turn you were specifically.
The area, so have a full understanding of what this all is about.
What was that? Sorry, Jeffrey.
Do you actually have a map? I'm surprised I'd have a question like that.
Jeffrey, yes, I'm very, very aware of the details. I just wanted to be absolutely sure which right-hand turn you were referring to, as there are a number of different intersections involved in this process. So I just wanted to be sure that I was understanding.
My only interest is the stopping of the right-hand turn and allowing the traffic to go two-way in and out of Sherbourne. I'm against that.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. Councillors, did anybody else have any clarification questions? Any other questions for Jeffrey? No, Jeffrey, thank you for your time this afternoon. I'm more than happy to follow up on any questions after this if you wanted to either send them through if you had specific questions that you. That's
fine. Now, am I open to listen to other submitters?
Yes, you can stay in. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next speaker is David Ryan. David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi,
Hello.
David.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you.
That's good. So I did have some comments, but I think based on that last presentation, I might change it a bit. I guess, I mean, the reason, I mean, the no entry restriction has been there for a long time, for decades. The reason that, I mean, the biggest difference between Leslie Road and Sherbourne Street is just the size of the road. The Leslie Road has a lane each way, has parking each side, has footpaths each side. Sherbourne Street is narrow, footpaths aren't continuous, so you're crossing the street multiple times to get from one end to another. It's got a bend. You can't see around the bend. So, I mean, the issue I have, I'm at number 17, which is right in the middle. I reverse out of my driveway now, and there's a car, you know, right at my backside, just hooning around that corner. So, I mean, there's a lot of differences between the two. Also, I guess another big issue is the end of Sherbourne Street is a very narrow laneway. So, the traffic that is now encouraged into Sherbourne Street has nowhere to go except out of this narrow little laneway at the end of the street into Park Street, Inglebury Court, which has enough room for a car. It's about half the footpath on the side, and it's dangerous now. So you've got, I walk there with my kids and with my pram, my daughter's pram, and there are people coming the other way. There are cyclists coming the other way, in and out. You've got cars funneled and forced around that corner into Inglebury now, and it's an accident waiting to happen. So the reason, I guess, for the last speaker, the reason, I mean, I know the reason why it was blocked off originally. So my auntie was actually hit by a car when she was a teenager. We live in a family house, so she used to live there. So she was crossing the road. It's so obvious that it's such a, I don't know, it's scary for me that it's opening it, because she was crossing the road where our place is, where that bend is. There's a car cutting from Buckley to Park Street. I heard my auntie always said that the lady was trying to beat the lights at Park Street. She saw the train coming, so she tried to cut through, and she collected my auntie, and she was pretty seriously injured. So that was the reason that I've always been told that it was put in there in the first place, and I can see exactly why, because now that it's opened up, all the traffic that's coming out of Rose Street is just now the easy option. The quick shortcut for them now is straight through Sherbourne Street, which is never designed for that, or it can't handle that amount of traffic. There are other factors with Sherbourne that makes it more dangerous. I guess it's the fact that the students, the kids from Lather Hall and St Columba's, they collect on that corner there, Sherbourne Street and Buckley Street, to cross the road. We've had, I know that I've talked to the crossing supervisor a few times, and they've had, I think they've complained to the council as well, but they've made some complaints where they've got kids right on the gutter, backed right up, around the footpath towards the station. And now they have cars either not seeing the lights or not caring and speeding through into Sherbourne Street and having close calls with students. You've also got, now that you can't turn, so if you're coming from from Leslie Road to head to Road Street, now you have to turn left into Sherbourne Street. Like you could previously go through Leslie Road, turn right into Buckley, and then left into Rose. But now all that traffic is funneled into Sherbourne, so into another narrow laneway, with traffic coming the opposite way as well, because it's opened up. So you've got the combination of kids, students crossing the road, commuters walking from the car park from Sherbourne Street. You've got kids just.
David, sorry, just to be consistent across all speakers.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, if you had you've got an extra 15 seconds or so, if you wanted to put in a final point.
I guess just a reminder is that we have signatures. We sent a petition a while ago now. We've had every resident in Sherbourne Street sign it, every resident in Inglebury Court, most of Stanley Street, everyone that we could find has signed it, because it's just been a nightmare for our streets for the last 2.5 years. And and that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Councillors, were there any questions for David?
Rose, yeah.
Yes, Mayor, I've just got a quick question, if I may.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
David, thanks for that. One of the things I noticed in the submissions was some comments around school traffic versus non-school time traffic. And I was just wondering, as a resident of Sherbourne Street, and I know that we've got some data that I'll double check against too, but I just wondered whether you wanted to comment on whether the experience of traffic using the road is which times of the day that seems to be the issue.
It doesn't really. There are different issues throughout the day. So during the day, when there's traffic parked on the side of the road and kids being dropped off and picked up, it's more of an issue with congestion. So you've got traffic heading which way is it, north and south at the same time. So there's often deadlocks. You've got 4 or 5 cars each way, because the cars are parked on the side of the road. There's no way around each other. And that's the issue we have, where there are cars, backing up onto driveways or onto nature strips or between other cars, and that's chaos. So during the day, it's one problem because just the amount of traffic. At night time and holiday time, I guess, and weekends, the issue is just the increase in traffic and the speed, so that you don't have as many cars parked on the side of the road. So the issue then is just because they've got no traffic, nothing to slow them down. They're just cutting through and speeding. But it's for me, it's all day. It's nighttime. I know it might be a bit much, but I've set up my own cameras just to track the times, and it's all day, all night, weekends, weekdays. It doesn't matter. Just different issues depending on the circumstance. If that answers your question.
Thank you, David. Did any other councillor have any other questions or points of clarification for David? No. Thank you, David. That was
Thanks.
insightful. Okay, now I did mention at the start that we would allow for any people that were online that had put in a submission that they were able to speak. Unfortunately, we won't be letting people who are online who didn't put in a submission to speak. So therefore, we do only have the 2 speakers for tonight. I believe that is correct. So thank you to all of the submitters for speaking to us tonight, and we will consider all submissions, regardless of whether you spoke or did not speak, if they were submitted. We will consider all the submissions as part of the final report deliberations, and a formal response will be provided to everyone who made a submission. And that concludes our meeting for tonight. Thank you very much to everyone.
Okay, thanks everyone.